the next topic is system initialization. Alright, yesterday I was, at the end of the session I have started something about the system initialization files and run levels and all. So today we'll see more about all this initialization file regarding the GRUB. Okay. So the moment when you start your system, all right. So when you power on your system, all right, there are a set of operations that would happen. So starting from BIOS, okay. So just having a right understanding of this process is very important for everyone who is working on this system. In fact, so your system process, this flow, it will start from BIOS. So the moment you switch on, you have something called SMPS. The control will start from BIOS, which is your basic input and output system. So what happens is, so when the BIOS process starts, it will quickly check for all the devices that are being connected to your system. So CPU looks for instructions starting at a specific address, which happens to be your BIOS resides. Okay, so the BIOS initialization happens, and then we have post power on self test, the test that BIOS performs very basic functioning of the attached hardware. That's what the basic checking happens. Okay. So the next one is the bootloader. So your GRUB is the bootloader, in fact, brand unified bootloader. Okay. So here there is something called the specialized software that is installed to the MBR, is your master boot record of the boot partition, which selects and loads the kernel. So what happens is, so once this is done, okay, the initial testing is done, the control will be passed over to the bootloader. So you can imagine your disk, hard disk, all right. It is made up of sectors, okay, and on the first sector, there is still further. It has been split into some other levels. I don't remember that word. I will let you know. But it's your first sector on which your MBR resides. All right. Always a system, when it starts, and it will first go and check on the first partition. Yeah, it's the first partition and the first sector where your MBR resides, master boot record. All right. So that is where the BIOS will transfer the control to. So the MBR will start. It will perform its operation, and then what happens is, okay, special software installed to the MBR boot partition. It will be of very small size, so it selects and loads the kernel. So the next step, what happens is, it will load the kernel. In fact, what happens is, your entire kernel will be loaded into the RAM first. Okay, so that is how there are a couple of steps involved during the initialization process. So if you can see here, so whatever MBR we are referring to, of the GRUB here, so this page refers to that. Right, this is your GRUB page. I'll show you the corresponding configuration file, that is your grub.conf. all right, where whatever content you are seeing here, right, so all this information is defined in your grub.conf file. All right, so the GRUB is responsible for the initial kernel loading at the boot time. It loads the kernel into your RAM. All right, so using there is a lot of importance to this GRUB page. In fact, so we'll come to the GRUB page. I'll restart my system. I'll show you how to come to the GRUB page. So regarding the levels, I've said yesterday, run level 0 to 6. Okay, there is something called run level 1. Okay, so what we can do is, we can restart the system and log into the run level 1, where we can perform some admin tasks. I'll show you that. Okay, so using GRUB, an administrator can control, okay, what kernel is loaded, okay, and what options are passed to the kernel, as well as initial RAM disk configuration. So if you get a chance, restart your system. Try to stop here. Okay. So if you have both Windows and Linux installed, you would even get to see this page where you would see here, if you see CentOS here, right? What you can do is you can click the edit E option here. Then you will see the kernel. So I hope you are aware of the structure of Linux operating system. The kernel is the core part which is responsible for handling all the operations in your system, and on top of the kernel you have your interface, and then you have all your applications as next layer and all. So please go through that architecture if possible. It will give you a better understanding as well. So here what happens is, here you can see the kernel as well as the RAM disk files that are displayed here. So here it says that we can select the type of kernel that we want, which means in a single operating system you can have two kernels. Okay, so we'll see that later. So say I'm running a specific version of operating system which points to a specific kernel, and there is a new release of kernel. Okay, if I want to test that kernel, what I can do is I can download that kernel. Okay, and at the time I start my system, I can use that kernel, okay, to start the operating system. Like that, we can download latest version of kernel, and we can also try loading that kernel along with the current operating system. Like that, we can have multiple kernels, available. So this is where we can get to see the kernel as well. So we need to define that new kernel in our grub.conf. So we'll see those options. So alright, so when you come to this prompt, so here you can see there are some instructions here using which you can edit this argument, this line, and you will get to see other options here, and you can also pass some arguments here. Okay, so I will show you that. So once you pass those arguments, so one of the feature is you can log into single user port. Okay, so I would say best example is, say you have forgot your root password, or you have a single user in your system that is the root user, and you forgot your root password. All right, so there is no other option, but you need to come to this grub page, all right, and pass an argument to the grub, telling the grub that let me log into the single user mode. All right, then you will land up without asking any password. You will land up at a shell prompt. All right, as the root user, you will have the root access where you can simply type and reset your root password. Okay, so for now I'll just give you one example of one of the features where we can make use of this grub page. All right, and once you have reset the root password, you can again restart your system. You can use either reboot command, or you can go for init --6 to restart, and you can boot into your default run level. Alright, so this is about your grub.conf file. So you will get to see these options in the grub.conf. Alright, so these are so the definitions. So this is what is the information that you would see here. Alright, so that is the version number, and you can define the timeout value. That means once the grub page comes, how long the grub page has to wait before proceeding to the default installation. Say you have 3 operating systems, all right. So always there would be one which is the default one. So when you start your system, the default OS would get started. It could be the Windows, or you might have multiple Linux versions, all right. So we can declare those values here in your grub.conf. You can say that I want Windows to be my default, or I want my Linux to be my default. So it's the order that it follows. You can also say that I want to have the grub page wait for few seconds before it starts the default operating system. All right. So like that, this is the image of that particular page. So currently, this is showing a single operating system. This is the version number, and this is the partition that it is pointing to, and this is the kernel. We have and then we have something called init.d image. Alright, we'll see these options again. So the kernel loads and initializes, the device drivers are loaded and initialized, and the basic hardware checks are performed. Alright, so the first process that is created, alright, during the system initialization is the init process. Init stands for initialization, or so system initialization process. Remember, init is considered as the parent process of all the processes in the system. Alright, so if you remember what I've said, you can have multiple processes in your system, and every process is associated with the process ID. Alright, even every file will have a process ID. So I will just show you this. Alright. Okay, so if you observe here, so for a process, so I'm just alright. We have seen the grep command, right? So I have used some command here, and then followed by a pipe, and then I did a grepping for this particular process called as init. So this is running in the system now. And if you observe here, this particular field stands for process ID, and the process ID of init is 1. So this is the first process that starts in your system. This process will further spawn, or it will help in generating the other processes in your system. Okay. So init, it loads the init tab specifying what the default run level should be, and then additional configuration files. Alright, whatever which is there in the grub.conf. Alright, it will follow that, and init starts running all the specified startup scripts at this point. Okay, now I will show you what these startup scripts are. Second. Okay, so this startup scripts topic is there, so I'll explain that later. So for now, just remember that as a part of the initialization process, so what happens is it will try to find all the scripts that are responsible for starting your system. That means there is a default run level. It will try to land you in that particular run level. It will try to start that system in that run level, and corresponding to that run level, there are a set of scripts that will trigger all the processes corresponding to that run level. So in general, these are all the processes that are being started by init, like your network configuration. So X Windows, X always all your GUI part, network services, databases if you have installed, etc. Alright. So with this, your booting process will get finished. Alright. So this particular init is present under the etc folder. So files in this directory. So I'll show you all these files as well. We have multiple terminals and all. We'll go through this part by going through the configuration file. Okay, so these are the run levels that I have shown yesterday. So init 0 to 6, starting from shutdown, single user mode. So this is where you can do the recovery and maintenance part in single user. Init 2 is multi-user without networking and GUI. And then you have multi-user with networking. This is mostly you will be logging into the run level 3, and then you will be either it will be run level 3 or run level 5. Okay. Okay. Then this is the command we have seen yesterday, run level, and the output of the run level, it will give you the default run level you are currently in, and there is something called N. So N stands for the previous run level. That means, say you are in run level 5, and what you did is you have done init command, init space 3, and you have moved to run level 5. Okay, but it is not your default run level. So when you come back to run level 5 again and use this command, it will show you the previous run level as well. Okay, so this is how you go into other run levels. So all this information will be present in etc init tab file. Okay. So this is okay. If you can see here, I'm not sure if it is clear or not. So this is the entry where run level 5 has been given. So this is the default run level. Okay. So the next one is how to the service command. It's a very important one. So the service command basically helps you to start and stop different services in your system. Start and stop the services, or you can restart the services. It also helps you to reload the services. There are multiple options. So the service could either be a network related service, or a HTTP service, or an FTP service, right, file transfer protocol, or it could be a DNS service. All services that are in your system. We'll see the corresponding command that would list all the services that are currently installed in our system. Okay, so every service, in order to make changes to the service, use the service command. This is a quick example to restarting your network service. So what it does is it will stop the network, and if it will try to set the IP address again in this example. And alright, so this is another service, SMB. It's related to Samba. If you have heard about this service, say if you want to enable access in between Linux and Windows, having a shared folder. So this is helpful in that aspect. So we'll see all the services and the importance. Yes, I will talk about init.d folder. There is a folder under etc called init.d. I'm coming to that topic. So here another thing. So as I've said, we can start and stop the service using service command. Okay. So another way of starting and stopping the services is using this path. Okay. If you see here, ls etc init. Sorry, 1 second. Okay, init.d. Okay, so these are all the services that are present in your system. So all the services are present in the init.d folder. So the initialization service that we have referred before, it will pull all the services from this folder, and it will start and stop the services. When you use a service command, service network status. Alright, so it will show the current status, alright, or pull some other service from the list. We have NFS. Okay, so these are some of the dependent services. So what we can do is here, just remember this. You would see this notation ending with the D. All right, I'll be using it with some other scripts. So D stands for daemon. Okay, so a daemon basically runs in the background. So when a particular service is installed and it is up and running, there will be a daemon. Okay, so that will take care of all the features or anything related to that particular service. A daemon is responsible. So we will always be either stopping that daemon or starting that daemon. All right. So like this, we have NFS, network file system. We have CUPS, CUPS. In this list, that is your printing service. See, CUPS D. So most of the services would be ending with D, and we have something called cron D is running. Now what I will do is to quickly perform some operations. Alright, okay. So another important thing, so I'm this here, the user is, who am I? I'm user server. So I'm not allowed to stop the service, but I'm allowed to check the status of the service. Alright. So okay. So here I'll show you another thing, init.d. Alright. So here the same thing, cron-d status. So there are two different ways of checking the status. Either you go with the service command or you go with the /etc init.d cron.d status. Okay. Similarly, it is not possible to perform any other operations. So normal user is not allowed to it. Either this user should have sufficient privileges with respect to starting and stopping the services, or it should be a root user. Alright. What I'll do is I'll quickly log into the system as a root user. I'll show you how to switch between the users. Okay. Currently, who am I? I'm the root user. Alright. Now I'll use service first. Service cron d status. Yes, it's running. And stop. Yes, successfully. I'll use the other way. etc init.d cron d start. Okay. So it's the same. You can do it as I've said before. You can do a particular operation in multiple ways. Okay. So you can start and stop the service, or you can restart the service as well. So it will show you both the things, stopping and starting the service. Okay. Yes, and here Rajkumar has asked a question: are all these files under etc init.d are shell scripts? Okay. Now I will tell you how to check. I think I have shown you a command yesterday. etc init.d ls. There is a command called file. Okay. And I'll take this example. It's a shell script text executable. So this command is very helpful. If you are not aware of what a particular file is, you can use the file command. Okay, and you can also, in fact, you can directly open the file. The reason why I have started with the file command is there are some binary executables which if you start, right, so there will be a lot of special characters and all. The files are very big, and what it will do is it will you tend to lose your prompt. It will display all the special characters and all. So it's better if you test using the file command and then open the corresponding script. Okay, so init.d, yes, these are the shell scripts. Okay, so this is how we check the status. Okay, so the particular user should have sufficient rights in order to execute this. Only root users and sudoers do have the access to start and stop the services. Alright, and yes, this is the graphical way. So ntsysd command, it manages the services in the current run level. Alright, so if you remember, if there are 100 services, I have given an example yesterday, 100 services. Alright, so imagine that there are 7 copies or 6 copies, okay, 6 folders of all these services. Alright, and every folder it points to one run level. Okay, so there are 6 copies of all the 100 services that you have installed in your system, and each folder points to one particular service. When you run your system and run level 5, the box that corresponds to run level 5 will come into the picture. Alright, so init, what it does is it will check the default run level and it will go to the corresponding box. It will check the services which are present in that box. So you might have enabled some services in run level 5 and disabled the others. So what it does is it will read what services are enabled, it will go to that particular box, and then it will install all those services. Sorry, it will start all those services. Okay, so when you or in a particular run level, when you use this particular command, it will open all the services in that run level. So services which are present in the box that corresponds to that run level. Okay. So here what you can do is, if you are in run level 5, you can run this command and you can manually select the services that you want. It's pretty easy. Or if you want to modify the services that belong to other run levels, you can simply provide it as an argument. Alright. Then what it does is it will pull all the services that are pointing to other run levels. Then you can even modify the services for other run levels as well. Modification in the sense you can simply enable or disable the service. Okay. So this is the graphical way of doing the things. Alright, using the GUI. When you are in run level 5, you can make use of this command. But so the next topic is how to do it on the command line. So this is the important part here. Okay. So here now I have randomly said that there are imagine there are 6 boxes and a copy of all these 100 files is present. There is a copy in each of these 6 folders, right? So actually there are such folders. Okay, so these are the ones RC0, RC1, RC2, RC3. Okay, which correspond to the run levels. So these folders have a copy of all the services that are installed in your system. Okay, so what happens is during initialization, when you have specified a run level, the initialization process will go and fetch the processes which are present in that particular directory. All right. So typically, the content which is present in rc.d looks like this. Okay. If you observe closely, you can categorize all these files. Ones that start with K and others that start with S. Okay. So when you start your system, all these services are going to get started. So the services here, the convention is starting with S. So they'll get started when you start your system. And when you shut down your system, all the services that are starting with K, it's like the same service that starts with S as well as with K. Automatically, it will run all this and it will kill the corresponding services. So this is how the system starts. When it starts, it will start all this in that particular run level. When you shut down, it will pull all the services and it will stop one after the other. So this is what you observe when you shut down. You can see all the processes one after the another, along with the status. You can imagine that internally that service command is being executed. So service this particular networking stopped. Then successfully, yes, it has stopped. You would see all the status messages as well. Even if a service has failed shutting down properly, it will display all those content when you shut down or even when you start your system. Okay, so this is how the processes would get started. The files in etc rcx.d directory is preceded by s or k, and they're followed by a 2-digit number. S means start the service, k for kill the service, and the 2-digit number after s or k, it denotes the order in which the services have to be executed. So there is some priority as well that is being set. Okay, yeah. So when the init process enters a run level, so the steps are run all of the kill scripts in order with stop as an argument. Run all of the scripts in order with start as an argument. Okay. So the next one is, if you look closely here, you will see that this particular directory holds a collection of symbolic links. Okay. So another new word here. So linked files. All right. So based on the color, or we can do an ls-l on this particular folder and see. Take one example, the rc5.d. Okay, so this is a better view. So this file is linked to some other file. Okay, this particular file is linked to some other file. Okay, so that is why these files are termed as linked files. All right, and there are two types of links: symbolic link, soft link, and hard link. And that topic will be covered later. Okay, so for now, you can see that these files are linked to some other files. Okay, so the main reason for this is so that there is only one copy of each script, reducing the chance that a script change won't be reflected in all the run levels. Okay, so I hope you have understood the concept here. So all the with respect to all the services, so there is a single copy, hard copy of these files, the configuration files in a folder, and rest of all the boxes that are present corresponding to the run levels. So soft links, that means it is like in Windows, just imagine like the shortcut files that we create. Okay, so when we install, right click, we create a shortcut on the desktop. For our convenience, we click, and which in turn will trigger the service, right? Similarly, assume that here also there will be a single copy of the scripts or the services, and the corresponding linked files are present in all the boxes. So when you run a particular run level, the linked file will in turn trigger the actual script. Okay, and the reason for this is just to ensure that there won't be any. Okay, the main reason is there will be only a single copy of each script, reducing the chance that a script change won't be reflected. So in case if someone has broken the link, all right, so that's why you need to be careful as an administrator. So there is a possibility of such things happening in the system. So that's why the linked files are being created. Okay, you can run the scripts directly or use the service command to start and stop the various services. Okay, the next one is chkconfig. Okay, so this is the command that would help you to list all the services in your system. You can check the status of the services. You can start and stop the services. All right, you can do all sort of things using this. It will, so this command will modify the configuration chkconfig for a particular service, setting it to on or off for a particular run level. Okay, I hope now you have a basic understanding of what a run level is, multiple run levels running in the system, what happens when you switch from one run level to another run level. And here, the moment you, let's take the existing services that are already installed. Okay, so using chkconfig command, you can list all the services that are already installed in our system. Okay, so chkconfig -- list. Let's see that first. Okay, so I'll just go ahead running these commands as a root user. Okay, so but normal users should not be able to run unless they have the permissions. Just remember that when you run this command, if you are a non-root user, you may not be able to execute it successfully. And one more thing, so one of the features of bash shell, all right, as I've said, say ls, if you press the tab, okay, so these are all the files, ls space fir, it will use the auto completion feature, right? So pressing the tab will finish it. Similarly, if you are not aware of a command, but you know that I think it starts something like ch, okay, I can press tab twice. It will give me all the commands present in the system that start with ch. Okay, if you have already given the command ls, okay, mess, then the argument will be checked in the current directory. Okay, but in the beginning itself, I mean the place where you provide the command cho, I don't remember the command, ch1, or if you want to explore all the commands that are present in your system, you can say some anything x. So these are all the commands that start with x. Okay, similarly, yeah, you can try like that. Okay, give 1 or 2 alphabets, press double tap, it will show you there are too many commands. So now chkconfig, all right, space all. I think it's single. I'm sorry, it's list. I'll go with more if you remember more command. So I don't want to get a total list, but rather page by page. Okay, so see here. So starting from 0, you have all the run levels here, and these are all the services that are installed in our system. Okay, so what we can do is we can choose a particular service, and we can say, so this is the status, and this run level is. So what you do is, so this is the current status, right? So next time when you install a service, all right, so you have installed it, you have started the service, but when you restart your system, service won't get started. So you need to ensure that that service is on in the corresponding run level. So here this is on. Okay, so when I start the system, the init will start this service as well. Okay, like that you need to enable that service. That can be done using chkconfig. So for the existing services, you can change the status, or if you have installed new services, you can enable or disable them in the run levels. So like we have seen the int_sysv command, you can give the run level as an argument and you can modify the services. Similarly, here we can also mention the run level and modify the status of the service in that run level. Okay. Okay, so this is how we do it. chkconfig -level level 3. Third, in this run level, I want this service to be off. Very simple. This as well as this, both the run levels, I want this to be off. You can check the status again. Similarly, by default, when you say on, in the current run level, that service will be on up. Okay, and that's pretty much about the chkconfig. All right. So chkconfig space -- list will list you all the services that are installed in your system. Whenever you install a new service, so you need to remember that you have to enable that service in the run level, so that the next time you start your system, automatically the service will be up and running. Okay, so that's a permanent way of making the service on or off in the system.